Hello and welcome to my COVID clay class. This is really weird for me to be talking to a camera, so bear with me. I have been trying to edit out all of my M's and likes, so there's some weird choppiness in the editing, but I just thought it would be better to listen to that way. Anyway, my name's Emma McKegney. I'm living in Ireland, living in Sligo at the moment. I am teaching you about finding local clay in your area, taking a little bit of it safely away, bringing it home, refining it so that you can actually use it like normal clay, and also firing it from home. I learned how to do this process myself through my grad show process. So this was in 2017. I graduated from IDT in Dún Laoghaire in Dublin, in Ireland. And through this process, I learned how to do all of the things I described, but it's completely kind of self-taught things I pieced together from just Googling it, and a lecturer in college kind of gave me a bit of help with it, and also through my geologist friend Lucy Blennerhassett, who was like my clay guru. So she helped me locate it in my local area and also told me quite a bit about it. So I recently moved home from Canada, where I was for just a year. I kind of took a break from any art activity there. I was extremely burnt out before I moved over, and so I'm only trying to get back to things now. I'm really missing making and working with my hands, and at the moment I'm not working, trying to do a little bit of creative bits. But I was thinking about doing this class because I wanted to teach a class like this, but actually I think it works better online because it means we're not all going to the same place and extracting clay. It means it'll be smaller amounts of people doing it, and hopefully wherever you are you will be able to find some clay and it'll all be completely different, so that's kind of exciting to me. So this class I'm uploading completely for free. It's going to go up on my website indefinitely and can be used whenever. I'm just leaving some links below. I'd really like you to donate if you can. If you can't, that's fine. This is free, but please donate if you can. The first link is for Abolish Direct Provision in Ireland. If you're from Ireland, you've probably heard of direct provision. If you're not, please click on the link below. It'll tell you a bit more about it. It's basically a program of detainment of anyone who comes to Ireland as a refugee, and there's a lot of controversy within direct provision in Ireland, but especially at the moment during COVID-19, they're being drastically affected by what's going on. This organisation are doing amazing work raising awareness about what's going on. They have real voices from inside direct provision sharing their stories, sharing what they're being fed, and it's kind of horrifying what's going on. There's also been a few breakouts within direct provision centres, and they have not been communicated to about what's been going on, about their testing, so they're kind of disproportionately affected by COVID, and that is why I want people to donate to them. So that link is below. If you have anything additional to spare, and I'm stressing the fact, please donate to the charity first, but if you have anything additional and you enjoy this video and you'd like to see more, please go onto my Patreon. It's linked below. You can subscribe to donate a monthly donation to me, as small as a cup of coffee, but you can sign up for a month or two and then cancel it straight away. I really don't mind. This is only if you have extra to spare. I'm not saying you have to do both, but please do the first one if you can. If you can do both, fantastic. If you can't do either, that's okay. I'll be talking more about this throughout the video, but I'm just putting a disclaimer right here at the beginning about the safe and legal extraction of clay. So in common areas such as parks, beaches, or in mountain areas, it's illegal to take away material in a way that will harm the landscape or any kind of structure on that landscape. So, such as any cliffs, which I will be talking about, do not create any overhang, do not dig into the cliffs. Only take small amounts from areas where there has been a natural collapse and it is safe to take. So, in certain areas, especially on beach areas, there will be areas where the cliff is naturally collapsing. This also shows that this is kind of a unique part of the beach where it is naturally receding, so it's really, really important that you do not add to that and you do not cause any harm. And obviously do not take from any private lands without permission, and also follow these best practices if you're extracting on your own land or private property as well. You don't want to cause any harm to the landscape. And yeah, I'll be talking more about this, but just putting it right here so it's clear as day. Please follow all best practices and then it's all good. With all that done, I hope you enjoy my clay video. I'm trying to share clips from footage I took while I was doing my own project during the grad show. And I'm also refining clay right now that I found in Sligo a couple of weeks ago. So the clay that I'm refining at the moment is the smaller amount, and that is dried clay because of the summer. And the clips from my grad show is a wetter clay because it was wintertime, and that'll all be explained in the video. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah. So what is clay? Where does it come from? Where is it? All of that. Basically, clay is what happens when rocks break down as small as they can. So the minerals within rocks can break down so teeny tiny that they turn into the substance clay, which can take on a lot of hydration and it becomes really malleable. So the difference between sand and clay, if you've worked with clay, you know that it kind of sticks together, it's malleable, it's elastic. Whereas something like sand and sediment will break apart and won't stick together. So clay is formed over a really long period, and it is just basically the breaking down of rocks into this teeny tiny little mineral. So if you've worked with clay before, you know that there's loads of different kinds of clay. You've got terracotta, you've got earthenware clay, you've got stoneware clay. All of these are different variations of the minerals within them. So I'm not going to go down that road because it's a huge world of chemistry, and it includes the world of glazing. But basically, because it can be found anywhere and it's made of absolutely any broken down mineral, it is so variable. There's so many different ways you can find it and states you can find it in. So usually when you fire clay, you might get an inkling of what's in it. For instance, the clay that I refined probably had a huge iron content because when I fired it, it went like a brown red, which is kind of similar to terracotta. That's also the difference between any commercial clay and any locally found, naturally occurring clay. With commercial clay, they might have messed with the chemistry of it, so they might take away or add depending on how they want it to act when it's fired or how they want it to be used. For instance, porcelain has a really interesting history. For hundreds of years, there was kind of this recipe for porcelain that was a mystery to the Western world, and it was huge in China, but in Europe we didn't know what the recipe was until a lot later than when China were using it. I won't go into that, but it's kind of a combination of multiple different clay minerals happening. So with any clay that you find, you probably won't be able to fire it in a commercial kiln or in your college because anything can kind of be in it. It could explode and ruin your kiln. So that's why I'm telling you how to fire at home, because you have less risk in ruining a kiln. Also with commercial clay, they bleach it, so any living things within there, any other chemicals will die off the interesting thing about the clay that I found, one of my pieces of work was a piece of clay that I had refined and let dry, but I didn't fire, but I let it redissolve in water, and it kind of created this whole ecosystem within a fish tank. And this was because there was a lot of nitrogen trapped within the clay, so this was providing kind of like a source of food for any organisms within it. And then combined with the water, it was creating this crazy world. There was all this stuff growing, there was these bubbles being produced by it, and every day the world was kind of evolving and developing. There was kind of moss growing, and there was all of this stuff happening and changing every day. Whereas if you tried to do that with store-bought clay, nothing would happen because they've extracted out everything they don't need, and they've refined it to a commercial point where it can be used, and you know exactly how it's going to act and what's going to happen. So with anything that you find, you're not going to know what's in it, and there's a certain amount of mystery here because you don't know what you're finding. You might not even know if it's clay right away. But that's kind of the fun of it. So always remember that, you know, you're not going to surefire find clay straight away, but you'll find something close to it. And you won't really know until you start breaking it down and seeing how it acts, what exactly it is. And that's the exciting fun part about it. I'm going to read you an extract of this explanation of what clay is, written by Lucy Blennerhassett. She wrote this in 2017 for my grad show, so it's specifically about the cliffs in Shankill, but it is relevant to all the clay in Ireland. I'm just going to read out the first paragraph, and then I'm on the last one, and I'll link the whole thing below. Clay is essentially the product of rock breakdown and movement, which is happening right now all over the world and has done so for billions of years. Clay is what we refer to as the finest fraction contained within sediment, where breakdown of rock has occurred to such a degree the particles become so fine they are able to stick together in a cohesive manner, making them suitable for use in sculpture and art. The formation of clay predominantly occurs by processes of chemical weathering, where minerals within rock, when reacted with water, become hydrated, and such a mechanism basically allows them to lose their previously less hydrated structure so they transform into a new mineral within the clay group. Clay is therefore a generic term referring to many types of very hydrated minerals. So after that, she talks about the creation of the cliffs in Shankill due to glacial activity. So all of the kind of clay deposits in Ireland, and probably a lot in Europe as well, are due to these big glacial deposits from when we were covered in ice. So widespread were these ice sheets during the last glacial maximum, the last time we were covered in ice, that one will find most of Ireland's ground cover blanketed by glacial deposits such as those at Shankill. One only needs to look at a cross-section of the ground surface to realise its presence right under our feet. Often the best outcrops, however, are found along Ireland's east and south coasts, where the ice sheets are predicted to have terminated as they retreated back from the sea. So, the clay at Shankill within the glacial Till Cliffs has been on a journey. Some of it may have formed within the mountainous regions and was subsequently carried, although it is more likely that it was most formed by the progressive breakdown of minerals within rock fragments as the ice sheets moved across Ireland. Some further clay may have been formed in place where the till was deposited, or in situ where minerals continue to be hydrated and transformed. As a whole, the cliffs here inform us of past environmental conditions and allude to us the history of glaciation across Ireland and the British Isles during the last phase of global ice extent on Earth. In this way, not only do they provide us with the knowledge of the past, but they also offer up an interesting and transformative material such as clay, suitable for extraction and use in the creative industry. So basically she's saying that the clay is kind of telling us a story of what happened during the Ice Age and during when we were all covered in ice. And you'll see when you find these cliffs that it's a really disorganized amount of rock, everything's kind of jumbled up because they were kind of churning and moving and always being mixed up, so you won't have uniform layers. And what's holding it together is this high clay content.